Hey everybody, I'm Cameron and we are plotting out my next book with the Story Genius method. We're on step 35 today and let's do this. We're getting so close to the end. Step 35. The instructions are long today. So it says, you now have story-specific bios for every character you've thus far identified. If any of them have a shared history with your protagonist, see if you can begin to flesh it out. You're not looking for everything they ever did together. For instance, Ruby and Henry might have spent every summer hang gliding off of La Bajada Ridge in New Mexico, every New Year's Eve binge watching old episodes of Father Knows Best till dawn, and every Sunday afternoon square dancing, and it wouldn't matter an iota. Oh, all right, they never would have done any of that because I just made it up. But if they had done it behind Jenny's back, it still wouldn't be on the list because it has nothing to do with the story she's telling. So keep your eyes on the prize as you make your list. You're looking for only the moments when what happened between the protagonist and the character in question has story relevance. Once complete, transfer anything still too conceptual or general to visualize to your idea list, and begin scene cards for those that you can sit back, close your eyes, and actually begin to see. This time you may very well be able to do that with most of them, with very few destined for your random folder. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of your scene cards are nearing completion. And the example on page 242 is just a list, a bullet point list of things that happened between them. So, and the example is just for one character, but we've got to do it for all the characters that have a shared history with our protagonist. And so I'm guessing the distinction here is not, because before we listed backstory characters, and we've also listed all secondary characters, but this is ones that have had a shared history. So I guess it'd be the backstory characters. Yeah, I guess it'd be all the backstory characters, right? Any that have shared history. So that'd be all of them. All the backstory characters. Yeah, so all the backstory characters, we have to go through those. And so it's not characters not stuff that happens in the story, but it's stuff that happened before the story is what we've got to list out. Okay, I think I've got that clear. I'm going to go over to my characters tab and start going through all the backstory characters and listing out things that have happened to them between them. And actually, now that I'm thinking about that, so most of these I did a kind of a bio and a backstory for the character, but some of them are not very focused on their shared history with Lewa, the main character. So that's kind of the distinction here. Some of them I have, like Kalani, I'm pretty sure. And by the way, I've started rereading my first book, Pizza Planet, again, so that I can fill in some of the gaps. Like in my notes section here, there were things that I didn't remember about book one. So I wrote those down, and I'm getting them. I'm learning all those things from book one, and so specifically Kalani and Lewa, they have some shared history in book one that I don't think I have written down anywhere. So I better write that down, and that'll kind of fill in the pieces here for today's step. So I'm glad I'm doing that. But yeah, I've got to do that for all the other characters, all the other backstory characters with a shared history. So, okay, that's my job for today. We'll see you on the other side. Okay, everybody, I am done, I think, with this step. This one was a little bit easier for me than it will be for you. Because this is a book 2, I have a lot of history, or I have some history, for a lot of these characters already. They already have things that they've done together. They've already gone through a terrible thing in their village, and they already have this world kind of built out and this shared history. So because of that, this was a little bit easier for me, and I didn't write a lot of details down because the details are in here in my book, right? So they're already there. That it's already a story written. But for you, if you're writing a book 1, this will be definitely you'll want to add more details to this. You'll need to use this step to create more of a shared history with them, more than I did here. So don't look at my example. I've already done the work to get the shared history here, but you need to do the work to have the shared history. But I did go through and fill out a little bit more detail to some of them, or at least write down some of the things that were just kind of up here that weren't expressly said anywhere. So, and I did have to come up with some things, like how did Lewa and Chovy feel before book 1? She was Lewa's closest aunt. I'd never established that before, so I had to think through that a little bit. But I went through mostly each minor character, added a little bit. So I added this section here, this Lewa specific history, and added some bullet points to pretty much each one. So there's that. There's Kalani. And some of these things I went looking in book 1 for some of these details because I knew they're there. I haven't finished reading it, but I've read a few chapters, and so I know there's some things in there. So I was looking for those, and but for the most part, I didn't have to, because it's already either in my Plottr file or I knew it off the top of my head. But your memory is not very reliable, I've learned. There's so many details that you have to add to a book. So it's good to have it written down somewhere here in Plottr. And so this has been really nice. But yeah, so for each character, I just added this Lewa specific history. This was interesting about Chief. I had to think through how he, what he thinks about Lewa specifically. I thought about kind of what situation he is in a previous step, but now, like, how specifically does he think about Lewa, and what have they done, or what history have they shared? Didn't do it for every character. Some of these I'm not even sure if they're going to be in the story, but for the most part. All right, so that was step 35 for me. We are now, let's go to my pre-writing. We're now on the last 2 steps, only 2 more to go. So thanks for watching step 35 with me, and I'll see you next time for step 36. Getting there, we're almost done. Soon we'll be to the writing stage. Can't wait to be there. Can't wait to do this with you. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for taking this journey with me. We will see you next time. Bye.